You have to leave. Tonight.
The rain was coming down like bullets from heaven. Under the bus shelter on Bill Clinton Drive, an old woman sat on a wet bench, her wrapper soaked through, her walking stick lying beside her like a weapon she had surrendered. Her name was Mama Rose. And just 30 minutes ago, her own daughter, the one she sold groundnuts for 23 years to send to school, had opened the door, pointed outside, and said, "You have to leave. Tonight." The old woman didn't cry, didn't beg. She just picked up her stick, walked into the storm, and left her daughter standing in the doorway with a shiny ring on her finger. Before we continue this story, please subscribe, hit the like button, and comment where you're watching from and what time it is right now in your city. We bring you powerful stories like this every week. Don't miss any of them. Now, let me tell you how we got here. Alice was 30 years old. She lived in a 2-bedroom duplex in Life Camp, one of those estates in Abuja where people drive nice cars and greet you with, "Good morning, Ma," even if you're the same age. She worked at one of the big banks on Herbert Macaulay Way. Her salary was good. Not buy a Benz, good, but rent a duplex and eat shawarma on weekends, good. Alice's mother, her real name was Rosalind, but nobody called her that. She was known as Mama Rose all her life. Even Alice called her Mama Rose sometimes. Mama Rose had raised Alice alone. When Alice was only 2 years old, her father packed one bag early in the morning, said he was going to see his brother, and never came back. No call. No letter. Just gone. So Mama Rose did what many mothers do when the world tries to break them. She refused to break. She sold groundnuts. Every single day. She would wake up at 4 a.m., roast the groundnuts on a coal pot behind their one-room apartment in Garki, grind them with pepper and salt, pack them in small transparent bags, and walk from Garki to West Market to sell. Rain or sun. Headache or not. Mama Rose sold groundnuts so Alice could go to school. And Alice, praise God, was a brilliant girl. She came first in her class almost every term. She got admission into the University of Abuja to study banking and finance. She graduated with a first class. Got a job 3 months later. Mama Rose stopped selling groundnuts the day Alice got that job. She cried that day. Not because she was sad, but because the weight she had been carrying for 23 years finally came off her shoulders. One Thursday morning, Alice got a call from their neighbor back in Garki. "Your mother fell down this morning. She's okay, but you need to come." Alice's heart jumped into her throat. She told her manager she had an emergency and drove straight to Garki. When she got there, Mama Rose was sitting on the bed, calm as water. But her left leg was stiff. She couldn't lift it properly. The neighbor said Mama Rose had woken up, tried to stand, and just fell. At the hospital, the doctor said it was a mild stroke. "She's lucky," the doctor said. "It's not serious. But she needs rest. And someone to stay with her for a while. She shouldn't be alone." Alice didn't think twice. "Mama, pack your things. You're coming to stay with me." Mama Rose shook her head. "No, my daughter. I don't want to disturb you. I can manage. Mama, please. I'm not asking you. I'm telling you. You're coming with me." And that was how Mama Rose came to live in the duplex in Life Camp. At first, everything was fine. Mama Rose would wake up early, sweep the compound even though Alice begged her not to. She would cook jollof rice the old way, with firewood taste even though she used gas. She would sit on the balcony in the evenings and wave at the children playing football in the street. Alice felt complete. For the first time in her adult life, she didn't come home to an empty house. She came home to her mother's voice saying, "Welcome, my daughter. Are you hungry?" It felt like peace. But peace, as they say, does not last forever when the devil is looking for who to use. Victor walked into Alice's life on a Sunday. It was a church program, one of those revival services where they invite a visiting pastor and everybody wears white. Alice had gone alone. Mama Rose stayed home because her leg was still weak. After service, Alice was standing outside, waiting for her Uber, when a man walked up to her. Tall, clean, smelling like expensive perfume. White shirt tucked into black trousers. A watch that caught the sunlight. "Excuse me, sister," he said, smiling. "I've been seeing you in this church for weeks now, but I've never had the courage to say hello. My name is Victor." Alice smiled back. He seemed nice, polite, the kind of man who says, "Excuse me," before he talks. They exchanged numbers. Within 2 weeks, Victor was calling her every evening. Within a month, he was taking her to lunch after church. Within 2 months, he was her boyfriend. Victor was everything Alice thought she wanted. He had a car, a Toyota Camry, not new, but clean. He said he worked in logistics and supply chain management. He dressed well. He prayed before meals. He opened doors for her. Mama Rose met him on a Saturday when he came to pick Alice for a lunch date. "Good afternoon, Ma," Victor greeted, bending slightly at the waist in respect. Mama Rose nodded. "Afternoon. What's your name?" "Victor, Ma." "Victor Ocone." Mama Rose looked at him the way mothers look at men who come for their daughters, like she was reading a book only she could see. "Okay," she said. "Take care of my daughter." Victor smiled wide. "Yes, Ma. I will, Ma." But after he left, Mama Rose said something quiet. So quiet Alice almost didn't hear it. That one, "His smile is too big." Alice laughed. "Mama, you're just being protective. He's a good man." Mama Rose didn't argue. She just nodded and went back to peeling her oranges. But mothers know things. At first, Victor was sweet to Mama Rose. He would greet her, ask if she needed anything, even brought her a wrapper once as a gift. But after 3 months, the sweetness started to fade. It started small. One evening, Alice cooked rice, but Mama Rose had already cooked beans earlier in the day. When Victor came over, he saw the beans and frowned. "Why is there beans and rice at the same time?" He asked Alice in the bedroom, his voice low. "Is your mother trying to control what we eat?" Alice blinked. "What? No. She cooked before I got home." Victor shook his head. "Babe, I'm not saying your mother is bad. But a man needs space in his woman's house. How can I feel at home here when she's always around?" Alice felt something twist in her chest. But she said nothing. The next week, Victor started coming to the house less. When Alice asked why, he said, "I just feel uncomfortable, babe. Like I'm visiting her house, not yours." Alice tried to explain. "Victor, this is my house. I pay the rent. Mama is just staying here because she's sick." "Exactly." Victor interrupted. "She's sick. And I understand that. But when will she get better? When will we have our own space? Every time I want to talk to you, she's there. Every time I want to hold you, she's in the next room. It's like we're not even a couple. We're just 2 people being watched." Alice's head started to hurt. She had never thought about it that way before. But now that Victor had planted the idea, it started to grow, like a weed in her mind. She began to notice little things. The way Mama Rose would clear her throat when Victor held Alice's hand for too long. The way her mother would ask, "When is he leaving?" when Victor stayed past 9 p.m. Was her mother really being protective? Or was she trying to control Alice's life? Victor's poison was working. Slowly, quietly, 1 drop at a time. Another time, Alice wanted to go to a wedding with Victor on a Saturday. But Mama Rose asked her to take her to the hospital for a checkup that same day. Alice told Victor she couldn't go. He didn't shout. He just sighed, long and slow. "It's fine," he said. "I understand. Your mother comes first. Always. The way he said it, like a man swallowing poison, made Alice feel guilty. It's not like that, Victor. No, no. I get it. You're a good daughter. I respect it. But, how long will it be like this? She's living with you full-time now. I can't even spend time with you without feeling like I'm disturbing her space. Alice's head started to spin. She loved her mother. But she also loved Victor. And Victor was making it sound like she had to choose. The poison was working. One Wednesday evening, Victor came to Alice's house unannounced. Mama Rose was sitting in the living room, watching a movie. Alice was in the kitchen washing plates. Victor walked in, greeted Mama Rose with a quick nod, no smile, no respect, and went straight to the bedroom. Mama Rose frowned. But she said nothing. 20 minutes later, Victor called Alice into the bedroom. When she entered, he was sitting on the bed, holding a small red box. Alice's heart jumped. Victor, what is? He opened the box. Inside was a ring. Gold. Shiny. With a small stone that caught the light. Alice, Victor said, his voice soft and serious. I love you. I want to marry you. I want us to build a future together. I want children with you. I want to grow old with you. Alice's eyes filled with tears. But Victor's voice changed. Harder now. I need to know you're ready. I need to know that when we get married, it will be us. Not you, me, and your mother. Alice's smile froze. What do you mean? Victor stood up. He took her hands. Your mother is a good woman. I'm not saying she's bad. But babe, she can't live with us forever. I need a wife who is ready to start a new life. A fresh life. Just you and me. Alice's throat felt tight. Are you saying I should send my mother away? I'm saying, Victor said slowly, that if you want to marry me, if you want this ring, you need to make a choice. Tonight. Alice's head was pounding. Her hands were shaking. She looked at the ring. Then at the door. Then back at the ring. Victor smiled. I know it's hard, babe. But love is about sacrifice. And if you love me, you'll do this. For us. Alice felt like she was underwater. Everything was blurry. Her heart was screaming no. But her mouth said, okay. It was 9 p.m. when Alice walked into the living room. Mama Rose was still watching TV. The movie was ending, the part where the good wife wins and the bad one loses. Alice stood there for a moment, her hands behind her back, the fake ring heavy on her finger. Mama! Mama Rose turned. She saw Alice's face and knew immediately. Something was wrong. What is it? Alice swallowed. Her voice came out strange. Tight. Like it wasn't hers. Mama, I think it's time you go back to Garki. The old woman blinked. Tonight? She asked quietly. Yes. Tonight. Outside, thunder rumbled. The rain started to fall. Mama Rose stood up slowly, using her stick. She looked at her daughter for a long, long moment. Then she looked at Alice's hand. At the ring. She nodded. Okay. That was all she said. No tears. No begging. No questions. She walked to the guest room, packed her small bag, one wrapper, one blouse, her Bible, and came back to the living room. Alice opened the front door. The rain was falling hard now. The kind of rain that soaks you in 2 seconds. Mama Rose stepped into the rain. Alice stood in the doorway, her heart pounding, her hands shaking, watching her mother walk away in the storm. Victor stood behind her, smiling. You did the right thing, he whispered. Alice closed the door. And the moment she did, the exact moment, she felt it. The coldness. Not from the rain outside. From inside her own chest. Mama Rose walked slowly down the road, her stick tapping on the wet pavement, her clothes sticking to her skin. She wasn't crying. She was just walking. When she got to the bus shelter at the junction, she sat down on the bench. The roof was leaking in one corner, but it was better than nothing. She sat there, alone, in the rain. 15 minutes later, a gateman from one of the houses nearby was closing the gate when he saw her. His name was Ibrahim. He worked for Mr. and Mrs. Chukwu, a couple who lived 3 houses down from Alice. Ibrahim walked closer, squinting through the rain. Mama rose. She looked up. Ibrahim, what are you doing here? In this rain? Mama Rose smiled. A tired, quiet smile. I'm just resting. Ibrahim frowned. He wasn't a foolish man. Mama, this is not resting. Come inside. Let me call Madam. Mama Rose shook her head. No, don't worry. But Ibrahim was already dialing Mrs. Chukwu's number. Within 5 minutes, Mrs. Chukwu came out with an umbrella, a wrapper, and a face full of shock. Mama Rose. What happened? And slowly, the story came out. Mrs. Chukwu didn't say much. She just wrapped Mama Rose in a dry cloth, took her inside, gave her hot tea, and put her in the guest room. But Mrs. Chukwu was also a woman who talked. And by the next morning, the whole street knew what Alice had done. Alice woke up the next morning feeling wrong. She looked at the ring on her finger. It still looked shiny, but something about it felt cheap. Victor had left early that morning, saying he had business meetings. He kissed her forehead and said, "I'm proud of you." But Alice didn't feel proud. She felt hollow. When she got to work, her colleagues were whispering. At lunch, one of them, Kate, came to her desk. "Alice, is it true?" "Is what true?" Kate showed her a phone. On the screen was a video. A video of Mama Rose, sitting in the rain, under the bus shelter, alone. Someone had filmed her, posted it on Twitter, with the caption, "This woman raised her daughter alone. Sold groundnuts so the daughter could go to school. Now the daughter is a banker, and she threw her mother out in the rain for a man. Abuja people, do you know this woman?" The video had 47,000 retweets. Alice's hands went cold. "Kate, where did this? It's everywhere, Alice. People are talking. They're saying it's you." By 3 p.m., Alice was called into the manager's office. "Alice, the bank has received multiple complaints from customers about a viral video. Pending an ethics review, you're being placed on suspension. 2 weeks. Unpaid." Alice couldn't breathe. When she got home that evening, she called Victor. No answer. She called again. No answer. She sent a message, "Victor, please. I need you. People are talking. I'm suspended from work. Please call me." 1 hour later, Victor replied, "Alice, I think we need space. This is too much drama for me. I'll call you when I'm ready." Alice stared at the message. Her chest felt like it was caving in. That night, she sat alone in the house that used to have her mother's voice, her mother's cooking, her mother's warmth. Now it was just empty. She looked at the ring on her finger. And for the first time, she looked at it closely. The gold was peeling at the edges. The diamond had a scratch. She took it off, held it to the light, and whispered, "This is fake." 2 days later, Alice got a message from a woman she didn't know. The message said, "My name is Blessing. I'm Victor's wife. We've been married for 6 years. We have 2 children. He told me he was in Abuja for work. I just saw a post online about a Victor Okon and an engagement. I need you to know that ring is fake. He bought it at Was Market for 12,000 naira. He was never going to marry you. He already has a wife. Me." Attached was a photo. Victor, in a living room, with a woman. and 2 small children, all of them smiling. Alice dropped the phone. She sat there on her bed, the same bed where Victor had proposed, and everything started to make sense. Why he never invited her to his house. Why he was always busy on weekends. Why he always paid with cash, never card. Why he didn't have her photo on any of his social media. She had been so blinded by the ring, by the proposal, by the idea of being a wife, that she didn't see the truth standing right in front of her. Her mother had seen it. Mama Rose had looked at Victor that very first day and said, "His smile is too big." But Alice didn't listen. She chose a fake ring over a real mother. She chose a liar over the woman who sold groundnuts in the sun so she could go to school. And now, she had nothing. No Victor. No job. No respect. No mother sleeping in the next room. Just an empty house. And a 12,000 naira ring that was already turning her finger green. The next morning, Alice put on a simple dress, took her car keys, and drove to Mr. and Mrs. Chukwu's house. Her hands were shaking when she knocked. Mrs. Chukwu opened the door. She looked at Alice with an expression Alice couldn't read. Not anger. Not pity. Just waiting. "I want to see my mother," Alice whispered. Mrs. Chukwu stepped aside. Alice walked into the living room. Mama Rose was sitting on the sofa, a cup of tea in her hands, wearing a clean wrapper that wasn't hers. She looked up when Alice entered. And Alice, who had held herself together for 3 days, fell to her knees. She didn't say anything at first. She just knelt there, on the floor, in front of her mother, and cried. Cried like a child. Cried like someone who had just woken up from a nightmare and realized it was real. Mama Rose put down her tea. Slowly, she reached out and placed her hand on Alice's head. She didn't say, "I told you so." She didn't say, "You don't deserve my forgiveness." She just said, softly, "The rain washed away what was fake. Now let's rebuild what is real." Alice sobbed harder. Mrs. Chukwu and Ibrahim quietly left the room, closing the door behind them to give mother and daughter space. And inside that small living room, something broken was beginning to heal. Alice never saw Victor again. She heard later that he had run back to Port Harcourt when his wife found out about the engagement. Alice went back to work after her suspension. It wasn't easy. People talked. Some customers still gave her side eyes. But she worked hard, kept her head down, and slowly, things got better. Mama Rose moved back in with Alice. This time, Alice didn't let anyone, make her feel guilty for loving her mother. She cooked for her, took her to checkups, sat with her in the evenings and watched movies, even the ones that made no sense. And every night before bed, Alice would kneel beside her mother and say, "Thank you for not giving up on me. Even when I gave up on you." Mama Rose would smile, touch her daughter's head, and say, "A mother's love doesn't run away in the rain." If you've learned something from this story, about family, about fake love, about what really matters, please subscribe to this channel, hit the like button, drop a comment about what this story taught you, and turn on notifications so you never miss stories like this. We have more powerful lessons coming your way. Stay blessed. And remember, what is real will always survive the storm.